and welcome to the Indie Pop Girl, the podcast where you'll find music chat, new releases, hidden gems, and nostalgic deep dives. I am back with another episode, and today is the introduction to my new series, Albums That Surprise Me. I've got some great albums coming up, and we are kicking the series off with Blue Weekend by Wolf Alice that was released in 2021. A record that received widespread critical acclaim and was the beginning of my love for one of the most exciting British bands around today. Blue Weekend is the third studio album by Wolf Alice that was released on the 4th of June 2021 and was their last to be released through Dirty Hit before signing with RCA Records. The record was produced by Marcus Dravs, who has worked with various artists such as Arcade Fire, Bjork, Coldplay, and many other artists in the indie alternative genre. As I have mentioned, the album generated widespread critical acclaim, and I'll discuss this later on in the episode, but many called Blue Weekend as the band's best work and was shortlisted for the Mercury Music Prize in 2021, an accolade that the band won for their previous release, Visions of a Life, in 2017. When I was thinking about my next series, I just thought of the title of Albums That Surprised Me one day when I was washing the dishes. Don't ask. These things often pop up at the most unexpected times. But I was thinking about Blue Weekend a lot, and with the release of their follow-up, The Clearing, that is due next month, I thought that this is perfect timing, and especially after their triumphant Glastonbury performance. The idea behind the Albums That Surprise Me series is that I have dug deep into my vinyl collection, and I have picked 6 records which basically surprised me on first listen. 5 records out of the 6 that I have chosen are albums from artists that I have not previously followed, but the particular record in question made me a fan instantly. And there is just one record that completely elevated my love and respect for an artist, so I hope that this series will cater to all tastes. I live for those moments when you can just casually listen to something with no expectation, and then the magic happens. I love doing the Throwback Friday series, and I hope that has given you an indication of my indie pop crossover. It's been like a little sneak peek into the albums and music that has shaped me and my future listening. The Throwback Friday series was the introduction to the Indie Pop Girl, and this will return in the future because I love to go back and revisit the nostalgia, which does come with emotion sometimes, but I have a feeling that this series will be the turning point for me when things will become extremely emotional, as I have a lot of attachment to these records already. So you have been warned. I've always been aware of Wolf Alice and heard the name mentioned here and there, and was a little bit familiar with their early work and singles, but Blue Weekend was the record that made me take notice. During the pandemic, I was consuming a lot of music. Working from home, spending more time at home, I was able to consume new albums especially, and I was making an effort to keep up with the new releases. I also started record collecting around this time, building up my collection, and I was always on the lookout for my next purchase. When Blue Weekend was released during the summer of 2021, I started to see all of the reviews coming out, especially from the UK press, And I couldn't believe what I was reading and the universal critical acclaim. Now, this can go two ways. You can be pleasantly surprised by a record. You go in with an open mind and come away a changed person. You relate to the critical acclaim because you get it too. And this was the case for Blue Weekend. Or you can read all of the praise and come away extremely let down and disappointed. I have had a lot of what the fuck was that moments over the years, but as this podcast is a positive space, and on this occasion, the critics got it so right. Blue Weekend is the perfect record to kick off this new series, because I will never forget the first time I sat down and listened to this indie masterpiece. It was in the middle of a heatwave, and as soon as I hit play, I knew I was listening to something special. I sat in my kitchen and I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The sonics, the production, Ali's vocal performances, the musicianship, the layers, the lyrics. Oh my God, I could go on. I can't remember which track it was exactly. It might have been How Can I Make It Okay? But I purchased the vinyl as I was listening, and that doesn't happen very often. Usually I have to sit with something first and fully digest it before I spend the money. But all 6 of these records in this new series all share something in common. The vinyl purchase was instant. When I took the plunge and decided to start my podcast, Blue Weekend was something that I knew I wanted to talk about. I'm so passionate about this record and how it ignited my love for them. My husband and I were very lucky to catch Wolf Alice on this tour. We battled through a storm during the winter and we saw them at the Hammersmith Apollo in London. The things we do for the music we love. Before I start to discuss the tracks, I want to dedicate this episode to my friend Kelly, who is a huge Wolf Alice fan. Kelly, I hope you enjoy this episode. This one is for you. As I've mentioned in previous episodes, I will not be playing clips of the songs, so if you are curious, then please support the artists I cover by streaming, downloading, or buying physical copies. Thank you. Track 1, The Beach. As soon as you hit play, the first part of the 2 tracks that bookend Blue Weekend, The Beach gives you a slow build to really set the scene. This record is heavy on atmosphere, and The Beach is the introduction, using the opening lines of Macbeth by William Shakespeare to open up the record. The lyrics exploring the themes of friendship, this situation that Ali is describing, is the beginning of the weekend, I assume, which builds on the narrative for the rest of the songs. It seems like there is a friendship here that is on the rocks and is slowly fading, but they are still meeting up to drink every weekend. Ellie describes in verse 1, still sink our drinks like every weekend, but I'm sick of circling the drain, which could mean the amount of alcohol consumed and the constant fighting, implying that the alcohol is at fault causing the arguments. The title of the song might suggest a peaceful, tranquil place, but the atmosphere here is more isolating than relaxing. I love the line in verse 2, Ali sings, "You're not a bitch, but just a bit when you're bored." Ali could imply that this person is not a bad person overall, but there is something that they do or something that pushes Ellie's buttons. Maybe this person is a bit of a shit stirrer. They create drama and act out of character, especially when they're a bit pissed up. There is definitely some tension in this song and in this line, and Ellie ends the song in the outro with some reflection and maybe some regret. The instrumentation at this point sounds like the waves are crashing, which could symbolise the end of the friendship. It's a powerful way to start the record. Track 2, Delicious Things. So we have a completely different change in sonic direction with Delicious Things, and one of the most striking things about this record is the variety in sonics and instrumentation, but somehow Wolf Alice makes everything sound so cohesive at the same time. I love the storytelling and how descriptive Ali is in this song. She definitely takes you on a journey, and it's like you are there with her. The track is set in LA, but it's not all glamorous and living the luxe life. But just like the first track, The Beach, Delicious Things also has some tension running throughout its lyrics. The instrumentation is dreamy and just floats along, but Ellie's vocal delivery is quite hushed in places, and it sounds like she is talking to you. The combination is just so powerful. We feel her anxiety and her doubts to whether she belongs there. Ellie describes right from the get-go that she already has doubts of her new surroundings. The first lines are, "Could I belong here? The vibes are kinda strong here. The vibes are kinda wrong here." So she already knows that the celebrity or LA lifestyle is fucked up, but she's going to roll with it, and she won't say no. Ellie sings about the delicious things, the sex, drugs, luxury and decadence, the endless parties, but there's no joy in them, only confusion. It's the sound of someone trying to feel something, searching for meaning in the middle of overstimulation. It undercuts the glitz and reveals the real story. This is about displacement, the loneliness of being far from home, the imposter syndrome that creeps in when you're surrounded by everything you're supposed to want. At the end of verse 3, the excess and extravagance has become too much, and Ali drops the last line out of the blue. "Hey, is mum there? It's just me. I felt like calling." That is so heartbreaking, to be so far away from home in a place which is probably full of fake corruptive people high on cocaine, and Ellie just wants her mum. That is so human, and she repeats the "don't lose sight" line, which could mean Ellie is repeating this to herself when things become chaotic, or Ellie's mum is telling her not to lose sight and don't let the bastards grind you down. I love a song with such complex and profound storytelling, and the lyrics really take centre stage here over the gorgeous instrumentation reminiscent of dream pop. Track 3, Lipstick on the Glass. It's difficult to pick standouts from this record because of the high quality displayed throughout, but there is something melancholic about this track that I am drawn to. I discussed in my last episode covering Girl With No Face by Ali X, and I talked about how Ali X is a vocal chameleon, and the same thing can be said about Ellie Roselle. She is one of my favourite vocalists, hands down. The way she can morph and shape her vocals is so impressive, and her range on this track is one of my favourite Ellie vocal performances. She can switch from an ethereal tone to a stronger vocal tone with ease, and this track displays how versatile Ellie is as a vocalist. Lyrically, it could be about going back to an ex in a casual sex situation or getting back together with the ex. But Ellie knows that this person is cheating or has been cheating. The lipstick on the glass provided as evidence to Ellie and the listener. Ellie's self-awareness in the chorus. She knows this isn't the right decision, but she sings, "I take you back. Yeah, I know it seems surprising when there's lipstick still on the glass." Ellie just takes this person back, knowing she will get hurt again, and she admits in the chorus that she is the one making herself mad, not the ex, by taking this person back over and over again, despite the obvious infidelity. There is longing in the song, but also regret. Ellie's vocal delivery is one of the most emotionally nuanced performances on Blue Weekend. She uses a breathy, close to the mic style that really draws the listener in. Then, as the song builds into the chorus, her vocals gradually open up, layering with soft harmonies and reverb. It's still delicate, but there's a noticeable shift. The multi-track vocals give the impression of multiple Ellies, like conflicting thoughts echoing through her head. It's beautiful, but also unsettling. I just want to mention the live performance that Wolf Alice did for the Jim Beam sessions at the Union Chapel. It is available on YouTube and it features a full choir, and the performance is spine-chilling. I urge you to watch this performance. Ali's live vocals are immaculate, and the arrangement with the guys in the band and the choir is just next level. It honestly moved me to tears the first time I watched it. And the way the song on the record perfectly transitions into the next track is seamless. And I do love a good transition. Track 4, Smile. Another change in sonic direction. We have Smile, which is more aggressive. Wolf Alice switched things up with ease, and this is perfect placement in the track list. Smile is one of the most immediate and attitude-driven tracks on Blue Weekend. It's loud, punchy, and a total contrast to the dreamy introspection of Lipstick on the Glass and Delicious Things. Smile is the moment Ali stops asking to be understood and starts demanding it. It's Wolf Alice at their most defiant, all snarling guitars and don't mess with me vocals. The title might seem sweet, but this song isn't here to please anyone, and I love that. Ali's vocals shift throughout the track. In the verses, she spits the lyrics with a spoken, almost rapping tone with a bit of sarcasm. In the chorus, her voice erupts. It's raw and powerful. I love Ali's confidence and delivery. The line, "I am what I am, and I'm good at it. And if you don't like me, well, that isn't fucking relevant. If I'm having a bad day or a rough time, I put on this song and it always delivers." It's loud, fuzzy, and full of attitude, rooted in grunge and alternative rock, but polished with a modern edge. Track 5, Safe from Heartbreak, If You Never Fall in Love. This track demonstrates Wolf Alice's versatility. They completely strip away the production and it's perfect following Smile. It is one of the most delicate and deceptively sharp tracks on the record. It's short, acoustic, and gorgeously layered, but beneath its beauty is a protective bitterness. Clocking in at just under 2 minutes, Safe from Heartbreak is a brief but powerful pivot point in the album. It trades distortion and grit for crystal clear acoustic guitars and layered ethereal vocals, like a folk song drifting through a dream. At first listen, it's light and breezy, but the lyrics really cut deep. Ellie and Joel's vocals are beautiful. They harmonise together and it is so angelic, but with so much soul and power. This track is like a palate cleanser and sets up the second half of the record perfectly. Track 6, How Can I Make It Okay? I fell in love instantly with this track. The 80s inspired production with the synths is right up my street, but they put their Wolf Alice stamp all over it. They can strip it back, they can be heavier with the instrumentation, and they can also produce a perfect pop song. I was completely obsessed when I discovered this record, and I played this song constantly. So much it was my most played song on my Spotify Wrapped for 2021. I just loved the sentiment of the song. To help someone find their happiness in life. What can I do to make you feel better? How can I make you happy? I know I keep saying it, but Ali's vocals on this track, just wow. I will always be obsessed with her vocal delivery on this. It is so passionate and I love how she belts out the chorus. You can feel every emotion she is feeling. It's like a slow burning plea. The first chorus, her tone is quite soft and angelic, but when we get to the second chorus, Ali just fucking soars. She is trying to reach out to this person and by belting it out tells the listener that Ali means business here. She wants to fix this and gives the person reassurance that everything will be okay. The repetition of the title phrase adds emotional weight to really drive the message home. The track is built on an 80s tinged synth pop groove, slow and steady with pulsing keyboards, and a spacious mix that gives it a cinematic feel. It starts small and blooms into something anthemic by the end, cathartic and shimmering, but never losing its emotional core. It's such a stunning song, and it has become one of my all-time favourite songs. It's a masterpiece. Track 7, Play the Greatest Hits. Play the Greatest Hits is the loudest, most chaotic moment on Blue Weekend, and it arrives like a freight train after the emotional vulnerability of How Can I Make It Okay? This track is punky, bratty, and intentionally abrasive. It could be the sequel to Yuck Fu from the Visions of a Life record, as they both share the same attitude and energy. This is not here to soothe, but at this point in the record, it's perfectly placed. I have discussed in previous episodes the importance of the placements in the track order on a record. When I experienced Blue Weekend for the very first time, I was not expecting a track like this to appear, but in the context of the record, it just works. Wolf Alice knows what they're doing, and to make a record that is so all over the place sonically, with all this variety and styles going on, you would think that it would be such a hot mess. But when you play this front to back, the tracks are perfectly placed and everything just works in harmony. The title of the song, Play the Greatest Hits, is Ali saying, "We want all killer and no filler," and it isn't loud enough. I also interpret the title of this track as a metaphor to describe the content of Blue Weekend. To me, it sounds like a greatest hits compilation, and it shows to me that Wolf Alice has great confidence and faith in their work, their love for music and their craft, and it shows. The repeated title, Play the Greatest Hits, can be seen as a plea to escape from reality, to drown things out with the familiar, like putting on a favourite song just to avoid feeling whatever it is you're really feeling. The escapism you feel from live music, listening to the music that speaks to you, the euphoria, the high, all of the emotions are packed into just over 2 minutes. It hits, explodes, and then vanishes, leaving you breathless. Track 8, Feeling Myself. The song's title could refer to Ellie feeling more like herself after the breakup in the record, but the lyrics are very telling that Ellie is firing some serious shade towards her ex, and I am here for it. This track is sexual, dreamy, but so empowering. Ellie sings in verse 1, "He's had so many lovers, don't mean he's been pleasing anyone." So this line gives us so much here. The cheating implied on lipstick on the glass is confirmed here, and the ex has definitely been playing some mind games. But Ellie is here to tell it like it is. She is saying that the ex has been sleeping around, but doesn't mean he is good and bad regardless. I sense that he is a selfish lover and putting his needs first by this line. I love how direct Ali is in this song. The Feeling Myself title to me is Ellie reclaiming her sexual power, her confidence, and it is obvious that she is talking about masturbation. The moving in circles line in verse 2 implies masturbation, but also has a double meaning, that the relationship she had with the ex has been going round in circles, bit like the Circle the Drain line from track 1, The Beach. Really clever writing with this track, and I also have to mention the Let the Double L Feel Like a Kiss line, which is fucking genius from Ali, and I have not even talked about the production and the instrumentation yet. The instrumental and production on Feeling Myself are a huge part of what makes it so hypnotic and emotionally immersive. It's a masterclass in atmosphere. Every element is intentional. The build up to the chorus and outro. I fucking ascended the first time I heard this song, from the Rhodes in the intro and that explosive chorus. Holy shit. Those synths and the guitar tone is drenched in a dream pop shoegaze vibe. Two genres that I lose my mind over. And what Wolf Alice do here on this track is a masterclass in indie pop production. Ali's vocals in the verses that are layered over her background vocals just instantly reminded me of early Tori Amos. That soft, ethereal tone just works, and then Ellie just explodes with her vocal runs in the outro. To me, it sounds like a huge sexual release. It's perfectly balanced. Everything is mixed to perfection, and Ellie never sounds drowned out by the production. If you've not heard this song and you love dream pop, shoegaze, and indie pop, then you will not be disappointed. This style suits Wolf Alice so much and Ali's voice, and I am hoping that we get a moment like this with their next record. I just want to give a shout out to my favourite YouTuber, Fernstone, who did a reaction to Blue Weekend, and honestly, it is a joy to watch. She went in with no expectations, and she just got it. She felt everything in the record, and her reaction to Feeling Myself is everything. How she felt in that moment is something that I could never put into words. She was ascending, and I was right there with her. Track 9, The Last Man on Earth. What a bold statement to release this as the lead single for the Blue Weekend album campaign. It might have been an unexpected move, and maybe it wasn't what the fans were expecting. Maybe Smile would have been the obvious lead single material. But for me, this is a standout. This is the emotional gut punch, and I hope I can get the words out here without choking up. This track is elegant, haunting, and rich in meaning. The Last Man on Earth is the album's slow-burning centrepiece. It's poetic, theatrical, and packs a punch. Sonically, the track is reminiscent of the 1970s, early Elton John and Kate Bush, and even Fleetwood Mac in its composition. It also gives me some Wise Blood vibes from Titanic Rising. I think it's because of the piano, which takes centre stage, and with Ellie's voice, and eventually it just slowly builds to a full band crescendo. At its core, this is a song about arrogance, ego, and emotional distance. It challenges someone or a type of person who believes the world revolves around them, who avoids accountability. The standout lyric for me, every book you take and you dust off from the shelf has lines between lines that you read about yourself, brilliantly captures the idea of projecting your own self-importance onto everything. Someone so caught up in themselves that they can't see beyond their own lens. I assume the character described in this song is the ex from previous, and we now learn that they also show narcissistic tendencies. The line, "and when your friends are talking, you hardly hear a word," which shows that this person is so wrapped up in themselves, in their own little world. This is one of Ali's most restrained yet powerful performances. In the verses, she sings softly and slowly, almost like she's reading from a diary or reciting a lullaby. It's intimate and carefully controlled. But then in the chorus, her voice lifts and expands into a beautiful echoing rise. Still not loud, but elevated. It's almost celestial, like the voice of someone speaking from a mountaintop or into a cathedral. There's no anger in her voice, just disappointment, detachment, and perhaps even a tinge of sadness. It's quietly devastating. And so is the last line, "but the light." It gets me choked up every single time. There's something so powerful in the way how Ellie delivers those words. It's just 3 small words, but she conveys so much emotion. And this is what gets me fired up about music. I feel the emotion. I feel it in my bones, and there is no better feeling. I'm going to go on my soapbox here a bit. I have known people or spoken to people, and when the subject of music comes up, either there is no passion or they simply aren't fussed about music and just listen to the radio. That's fine, whatever floats your boat, but I could not live with that attitude. When there are albums out there that exist like Blue Weekend, and I know music is subjective, but when it's moving like this, it can't be denied. Track 10, No Hard Feelings. No Hard Feelings is a breakup song with no bitterness, just reflection, grace and acceptance. It's one of those rare tracks that looks back on a relationship with clarity, not anger. There's sadness, yes, but it's subtle. The minimalist production is sparse, which is bass driven, and speaks of the heartbreak after the breakup. And then the heartbreak eventually dissolves into letting go without resentment. Ellie is done with the feeling sorry for herself, the crying in the bathtub to Love is a Losing Game, the Amy Winehouse song taken from her legendary Back to Black record, which is one of the greatest breakup albums in history. But as the song progresses, the bitterness starts to fade and there is hope at the end that they both take the win. Ali's vocals are soft, low, and incredibly intimate. She sings almost in a hush, close to the mic, gentle and calm. There's no big crescendo or dramatic delivery here. Instead, her voice carries a kind of emotional stillness, like she's made peace with the loss and no regret. The synth that comes in is like a choir sample. It reminded me of Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark, something lifted from their Architecture and Morality record. So haunting and adds to the atmosphere and just lifts this track to the next level. Track 11, The Beach 2. The last track on the album is The Calm After the Storm. It wraps up everything beautifully with a big bow as Ali touches on her happiness and contentment following the breakup. She seeks solace with her girlfriends, drinking wine on the beach, and she knows that everything is going to be all right. And I think a song like this, I think we can all relate to, just having that emotional arc in people who are close to you, that reassurance and that comfort is really powerful. There are definitely some shoegaze vibes with this track. It really reminds me of Slow Dive, and Ali's vocals is reminiscent of Slow Dive's Rachel Goswell. I am not sure if they were an inspiration for The Beach 2, but the reverb and swirling guitars just transports me in that shoegaze lane. Blue Weekend starts in a satisfying fashion. They excel themselves in every way possible throughout the record and ends in a satisfying fashion. Blue Weekend is a perfect record to me. It works beautifully in the background, or if you're driving, or those moments where you want to sit with something and just let the music wash all over you. Blue Weekend arrived in 2021 and was met with universal critical acclaim. A 91 Metacritic score, Mercury Prize shortlisting, and glowing reviews from the line of Best Fit, Enemy, Uncut, Classic Rock, The Observer, and more. Critics praised its emotional breadth, from hushed introspection to punk-fueled catharsis, and its soaring sonic ambition. It wasn't just another Wolf Alice album, it was their moment, and it gave the band their first #1 on the UK Albums Chart. Anthony Fantano rated Blue Weekend notably low, marking one of the few high-profile disagreements amid widespread acclaim. And yes, dedicated fans strongly disagreed. There was a lot of debate from music fans at the time that review dropped. He famously gave it a 4 out of 10, a take that stirred major backlash. I think he missed the emotional core that resonated with so many listeners, and at the end of the day, it's his loss. The Guardian in 2025 reflected on the band's evolution, crediting Blue Weekend as a pivotal moment that shaped their path toward maturity and artistic challenge. I cannot wait to see what The Clearing is going to deliver. As it stands, I've only heard Bloom Baby Bloom and a little bit of The Sofa, and I will be dedicating a full review next month, so stay tuned if you love Wolf Alice. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Please follow me on Instagram and Threads at The Indie Pop Girl. If you've enjoyed this episode, I'd love it if you could follow and share, as it helps other music lovers to find the show. I've also created a public Spotify playlist and added some of my favourite tracks from the artists that I've already covered. And as the episodes grow, I'll be adding more. So if you are curious with any of the artists and albums that I have covered, please give it a listen, and who knows, you might find a new discovery. You can find me on Spotify at The Indie Pop Girl, and the playlist is called Favourite Tracks from Podcast Episodes. I will be back very soon with my AliX live show recap from Liverpool. Until then, I'm Rachel, the Indie Pop Girl. Thanks for listening, and I will see you next time.